The retro-futuristic world of Ark Raiders tells a story. When deployed topside, you will see a story of the collapse of human society, mysterious machines known as the Ark that threaten the remnants of humanity, and legendary battles between Raiders and the Ark. It raises many questions. How did society collapse? What happened to humanity before the Ark appeared? What happened to the survivors that journeyed into space? And what is the origin of the Ark? Though there are many questions, this history can be uncovered from the codices and evidence collected from the world of Ark Raiders, and perhaps even signal what the future holds. Ark Raiders is set in the year 2180, in a post-futuristic Italy, which for those who aren't great at geography is set in southern Europe's Mediterranean. Many generations ago, Earth was hit by a series of global environmental disasters, such as devastating floods, scorching fires, and city-leveling earthquakes. Whether this disastrous change in climate was caused by mankind is unknown, but it ended human civilization as it existed and was henceforth called the collapse. Most of Earth was uninhabitable, and only scattered societies are said to have remained, though after generations of darkness and decay, their tales have merged with legends and lies. One such place we do know survived is the fictional region of Calabretta, where Ark Raiders takes place. Calabretta bears geographical similarities to Tenerife, one of the Canary Islands, though it also closely resembles Vesuvius National Park near Napoli in Italy. Survivors in this region gathered in makeshift communities within the remnants of old cities, as well as in countless small tribes. It is even said that a handful of valorous survivors managed to escape the destruction into outer space, boarding marvels of technology long lost to the devastation. This event was called the Exodus. Based on a poster from J-Kozma Ventures in the secluded research station Stellantis, it took place nearly a century ago. Visible from miles away, the launch towers on Astra spaceport are a colossal monument to this fabled journey into space. Not much is known to the common man about how the survivors managed to achieve such feats, and what little technology survived is highly prized within Toledo, the only city to survive in Calabretta. The Exodus was a period that saw leaps in technological advances, but it resulted in a large divide between the elite and the rest of humanity. Though the codices don't share much, the world itself tells a different story and leads to many questions. Who was involved in the Exodus? Did the faction of humanity that escaped into orbit survive? And what is their relation to the Ark? I'll detail these questions in the last chapter of this video after we walk through the history, since it's a lot of in-depth information and some based on speculation. Alive in the memories of the very few old still around, the Age of Sunrise feels beyond belief to those born underground. Following generations of darkness after the collapse, the Age of Sunrise was marked by signs of restoration of the planet's ecology, as well as the rediscovery of old technology and even to some degree organized society. Here in the Rust Belt, settlers began to gather around the dormant Alcantara Dam, where they built the first hydroponic domes. These domes allowed them to consistently produce food and even make use of the old solar panels for energy. And while most evidence of life before the collapse was lost in the devastation, small pockets of preservation still offered a glimpse into the world before. Shifting sand dunes long covered the port city of Marano, essentially creating a natural time capsule. These days, it's just known as Buried City. But just as some degree of civilization returned, fruit machines started falling from the skies. Named for the arc shapes displayed on the radar screens when they come in from orbit, the Ark have no known origin or creator, but seem unified in their goal to eliminate the last remnants of humanity. Any semblance of progress and stability was wiped when they reached the surface. Though ruthless, the machines during what was later to be called the First Wave were comparatively rudimentary, and the first raiders soon found ways to target their weaknesses. They built an extensive network of outposts and defensive structures to support them in the resistance, many of which can be seen around topside to this day. The first raiders fought for over a decade to beat back the machines, culminating in the hard-fought Battle of Victory Ridge. Victory Ridge is a rocky outcrop west of Alcantara Dam. It was the scene of a fierce battle between the Ark and the scattered groups of raiders united under the leadership of Major Aifa, Tionwen's mother. The battle raged for several days, littering the landscape with smoking Ark husks and fallen raiders. Although it was a victory against the Ark, the Battle of Victory Ridge shattered the unity that had made the victory possible. Survivors blamed each other for tactical failures and feuded over the spoils of war. The unity that had defeated the Ark crumbled into bitter rivalries. Within years, the Ark returned with a vengeance. This time, survivors were forced underground, into the makeshift community of Speranza, Toledo's oldest neighborhood. Raiders sometimes use the term second wave to refer to the current wave of Ark incursions, in which a new generation of improved Ark machines started descending onto Earth. In some cases, the improvements were so drastic that the new iterations were considered entirely new machines, as was the case for Barons and Queens. For much of the second wave, the Ark were only fought during short forays topside, with raiders under constant fire as they roamed around in hostile territory. Topside visits are still limited to roughly half an hour as an Ark orbiter, an unknown orbital weapons system, bombards the surface and eliminates anyone who stays topside too long. Its exact purpose and origin is unidentified, though footage from the first wave suggests it might have been an even larger Ark threat than we've seen so far. Recent efforts have been made to establish new outposts on the surface, providing a degree of protection and support not seen since the first wave. But raiders always return to the relative safety of Toledo and its patchwork collection of secluded neighborhoods. Though some infrastructure is shared, most of Toledo's contradas, as they are called, are separated by distance and rubble, forming isolated communities looking out for their own. These communities have been known to begrudgingly collaborate when absolutely required. Most notably, the extensive tube network and cargo elevators that are operated by a disparate network of slingshot and security operators and mixed engineering crews spread across the different neighborhoods. And it's this collaboration, however fragile, that keeps humanity from the brink of extinction. Topside, the true threat grows. The increased Ark presence continues to trouble Shani as the Rust Belt grows more overwhelmed and the scale of the impending escalation remains unknown. Though the future of Ark Raiders is uncertain, we can make educated estimations of many of Ark Raiders' history's questions. What happened during the Exodus? What are the Ark, and what is their origin? After the collapse, but before the Exodus, forced by the nearing of environmental and societal collapse, humanity made revolutionary technological advances. Stella Montis is said to have been the last bulwark of humanity's preservation and played a large role in the development of the technology required to leave Earth. Posters found around the research facility clue us into the companies involved in the Exodus and their MO. At Stella Montis, we develop groundbreaking technologies to carry on human resilience for ages to come, in the face of the inevitable realities of our ever-evolving landscape. All within these walls rely on a spirit of daring innovation, boldly facing the headwinds of an uncertain future. Through grit and determination, we seek not just to weather the storm, but to realize a steadfast return on investment for our esteemed business partners. Stella Montis, a comfortable life, rain or shine. Many companies were involved in the research at Stella Montis, which provides us an insight into the Exodus and how it created a divide between the few that were able to leave and the rest of humanity. J-Kozma Ventures, a company that managed the space travel building on Buried City, was involved in the research and development of space travel. As mentioned earlier, their estimation was to be operational in 2082, placing the Exodus around a century before the current day. Astra Venturo was another big player in the R&D of the Exodus. This company managed the launch and control towers on Spaceport, and one of their posters on Stella Montis provides valuable insight on what might have caused the divide in humanity during the Exodus. Like us, we believe that you are curious about life beyond Earth. Make sure to book your tickets to the off-world colonies. We provide the security and comfort that you and your family deserves. The last ships before the global hurricane season are leaving in June this year. An exceptional value proposition limited to qualified buyers. Many other companies were involved in the research, development and logistics of the Exodus, showing how large of an undertaking this was. Millet Analysis was an organization that did medical and agricultural research and had facilities at Dam Battlegrounds and Stella Montis. Project EcoStride 40, one of their projects associated with hearing aids, dates their research around the year 2078, close to the earlier mentioned 2082. Avantale issued visitor passes at Stella Montis, while Puppet, Sudurante and Tanu were responsible for R&D too. Supracosta operated the rocket assembly at Stella Montis while collaborating with Enelica, Vigorosa, Ermacora and Jiangsu Romagna for the logistics. Mantikor and Guardia were in charge of security for both the Blue Gate, Stella Montis and the spaceport facilities. The survivors of the Exodus had not only the technology available to travel space, but already established the infrastructure on Earth and colonies on other planets. Whether this journey was successful is unknown, and though we don't know the state of these colonies, there is a good possibility humanity was able to reach them. When looking up to the sky, this grouping of what potentially could be called satellites or space stations suggests humanity could alternatively live among the stars or build outposts near Earth. However, and perhaps unsurprisingly, the opportunity to leave Earth was only available to the very few that could afford it. This resulted in a lot of anger in the period leading up to the Exodus. And evidence of this can be found on this graffitied wall on Spaceport and this billboard on Buried City. The world tells its story. However, it still doesn't provide us answers on the origins and intentions of the Ark. As of this moment, there are several running hypotheses. The leading hypothesis is that the Ark were created by the part of humanity that left in the Exodus with the goal to harvest resources, collect data to sustain life in the colonies, and eliminate the remnants of humanity on Earth. The main argument is that the survivors possessed the technology to escape into and likely even survive in space or on other planets. And it's this technology that could have evolved into the creation of autonomous machines that we know as the Ark. Probes descend from space and are set to collect soil samples before returning. The surveyors collect and transfer data, and the harvester and deforester likely extract resources from the Earth's surface. Though their purpose can't be confirmed, it's likely Earth has resources a civilization in outer space or on another planet could require. The shredders, ticks, pops, fireballs and turrets suggest their creation was here on Earth, as they exist below the surface and in secured facilities similar to the androids. However, it would have been possible for them to be dropped from orbit, after which they would have found their way into these locations, similar to how the shredders have escaped from Stella Montis. The spacefaring faction of humanity, being the creators of the Ark, is also supported by the animalistic designs of certain types of Ark, such as the Queen and the Matriarch. And not only that, certain Ark parts even contain serial numbers found written in the alphabet and the English numeral system, questioning the possibility of their creation by an alien race. As earlier mentioned, the Exodus created a great divide between the few that could leave Earth and the many that were left behind. The hostility of the Ark can be explained as an attempt for the spacefaring human civilization to eliminate a likely hostile society on Earth, since the people left behind wouldn't exactly welcome them with open arms. Alternatively, the Ark were created by the spacefaring faction of humanity, but the AI went rogue and decided humanity needs to go extinct. There isn't any evidence to support or deny this claim as of yet. The recent descent of the assessors and vaporizers shows that the conflict is sooner escalating rather than calming down. And some developments are coming sooner than we thought.